1 Chronicles, and this is going to be a mess. All right, now what we have here is blue text right off the bat. And if you're new here, this is how it goes. These reasons above my head here are why the blue text is being removed. This stuff is just not needed, or it's also been said someplace else, or there's a double or triple, or there's words that are the opposite. But a lot of it might not even be true. In fact, I know a lot of it's not true. That's what's going on here. As you can see, all this does not matter. Now we come to David here. Now, what I'm doing with the green highlighted text is I'm adding these words, but you can see I've got a forward slash on some of them. That means I'm just changing the word from one word to another word. Down here from ruled to from reigned, that's pretty much simple to understand. Um, but in some of these, like this right here, I'm completely adding it, but it's not a very important word to make the format. The hidden format, and these are my formats that don't really have any set rules. Now, if you go to Psalms 1 through 9 and put them into your computer and you start looking for the shortest verse you can, you'll find that there's one major word and then there's a second major word. And then these other little words connect them together. And then you'll find that they become a group, like you see up here, or a small paragraph. They called these a psalms. When you understand the text and you've cleaned it up, you will find that this is a psalm. And written in psalms is how they wrote, the first writers wrote. And so what I'm doing here, because you can find these in 1 through 9 in psalms, these formats exist. There are different ways I've done that in Psalms. Some of them have 3 words, some have 2 words. Some have 2 verses connected, some have 3 verses connected, some have 4 verses connected. When I'm doing these, I find out that what's going on after I start doing a story. I realize that these 3 group together, and you can tell that these are separate from these, and then this here, and then this one here, and you'll get the idea. Now here, I've made a note that I've moved this verse from here up to here. So I'm rearranging it just because it reads right. They tried to put another um, wife of David, and yet Abigail is his first wife. Now he's promised to Saul's daughter, but Saul's trying to kill him and he runs away. And that's when he meets Abigail. Now, she becomes his first wife. So that's the first truth that has to be removed of the text to be told that you have to understand. There's other stories that I'm well aware of what's going on. So when I'm making these changes, I'm not stupid here. I've studied the text more than anybody in the world. Okay, so here's you'll find my knowledge example. Go to any one of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, and find out that they aren't Gospels at all. And I go over every verse and every word in so much detail. Um, it will blow your mind away. I mean, it's an education you're going to get, because I'm not here to be told whether I'm right or wrong. I'm telling you that this is the right. This is the truths of what the text was before these guys got a hold of it. Um, um, there's in below. There's In the description, there's a 1611 preface. Now, most of you have never read that, but did you know your reward for studying the Bible is to eat a fruit every month? Did you know Gregory is divine? Um, do you know that they're happy that the first Roman king uh, changed our Creator's calendar to the way a natural man likes the calendar? So don't tell me that this is not being written by the good guys here. All right. Now I'm going to start going through, and I'm looking for right now because um, I'm not going to go through everything. This is for historical reasons of my knowledge, and what I'm going to try to do is explain some of the major reasons of the words that I'm going to be changing. If you follow any of them, they become obvious a lot of times. But here you can see that this is, I'm completely adding all this text here to make truth, because all of a sudden we have a format down here of Solomon or Rehoboam's. No, okay. Now, what you're seeing here, well, let me show you. Up here, we have David's sons, okay, 6 of them. But down here, when it gets to Solomon, this is the lineage of the kings. Let me get, I wasn't prepared here, so, but I am prepared. Oops, I don't, okay. I've done probably a 5-year study on the kings, okay, and that's after doing our Creator's formats, that we have a list of kings that is so detailed that I'm within 1 year of all these back and forth. Now, don't say that each of these marks will represent, because here's 35 years and here's 38 years. So that isn't what's important. What's important is how these interlay against each other as about the right proximity. And I needed more space to put them in. So what you're seeing here, though, is these names as the kings for Judah, the 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 nation of, yeah, the nation of Judah. Um, so if you just see these names here, you will now see them here. Okay, and it's funny to find them in order here, because when people start making a list of the king's names, this is what is stunning. Now you can see that they've got added extras here, but actually when you see those names there, let me bring this back up. Some of them are over here, okay? But the only thing is every once in a while I have word these Jeroboam is from David, but the here it is Solomon is directly tied to this one here. Uh, and then Josaphat is Jehu. Now this guy is, we're gonna, you gotta like that guy. He's gonna go around killing off a lot of people. All the ones that are evil, which those are like the priests and kings and, or I think, yeah, he kills this guy here. That's king. But that's because our Creator told him to go do it, and he did it. But the obvious list here, a lot of people don't see this in the text, and that's what's stunning. That when you go look at their list of kings, um, this is uh, in order, so close. I mean, it's stunning. This guy here is a real good king here, and he was not evil. Okay. This guy was one of the worst. He was the first worst king ever. He did evil because he was, um, meditating to have a sex with a so-called female goddess. You don't know about that. I know about this. You wouldn't know it because that's what I'm taking out their trick words here in the Bible. But that's the evilness because he put her image, this female goddess, in his meeting room. Okay. We're going to get into that. That's why he doesn't have a capital letter on his name. He's an evil one. When you see a capital letter, he's a good one. So here, when I show you this list, you can see that some of them were good over here, and then these guys, 1, 2, and then a good guy, and then 2 more bad guys. So this is why they're being sent into captivity. All right. Okay, I did pretty good for the first 10 minutes. I'm explaining a lot, but this is so unique. The text is just stunning when you see and understand. And it took me years to figure out. And then when I seen it so plainly written, it's just, anyways. And you can see I'm adding words and to meet the format. And then we're going to have a bunch because this was Chronicles 1, so there's going to be a lot of text that's just father to son, this guy did this guy did that, and then there's going to be out of order, and then they're going to go from this year to 10 years ahead, and then 20 years, and 100 years ahead. So this is not worth going through, and I went through and I picked out what I know is more important here. A lot of this stuff doesn't matter today. It isn't true to begin with. But anyways, now we're going to have the first time the Philistines fought against Judah. Now, I do have maps that I know that I'm going to pull up from time to time. At this time, and they're in the promised land already, but what happens is I'm estimating between 200-300 years of missing judges. We go from Moses as a judge to Joshua as a judge, and then we get the tribes have already separated themselves to be 2 kingdoms. And then what you're finding is, was it Eli is a judge, but he's also the high priest, or was a high priest, and he was the last judge. Or Samuel, the prophet, he becomes a judge, and then you have Saul, who is a king, and then you start having kings. So there's these years that are missing. Now, what's happening here is we're into David and not into Saul yet, but I think we're going to jump into Saul right now because Bethel is what he's going to make as his location as the capital city before. You notice I don't have Jerusalem on here yet because this is not David's map. So the maps reflect the order when the towns actually existed as well. So Bethel is going to become the capital city. It used to be Shiloh because they revolved around his tent for meeting, and it was in Shiloh. But Saul's going to make Bethel his location because he's the first king. He gets to decide. It shows up on the text that Palestine here, or the Philistine area, is this large now because they were removed and they were down below this river, and then they came back up in here and started taking territory. But we don't have the story. All of a sudden, the Bible just has them here, okay? And now there's this battle going to go on. And I'm just trying to lay out what you're going to know here in the text. Okay, yeah, because saw here. Okay, now see, it was Israel, and they were still, the writers don't give a hoot about what order of anything is to be in order. They were using Israel as everything is one. Well, it's not, because when we get into David, you'll find that uh, David was trying to make them one, and that's why after Saul was died, they came down. The tribes from Israel agreed with David to unify it to become all one. So, and then, but right now, you have to understand that there is actually two. And so I have to have it as Judah. You fought Judah. Now, this, like I said, is Judah is here. And then this is who they were fighting at this time. But this is also, these two are also known as the nation of Judah. Okay. Now, I use the word specifically to not mean other. So when it's used correctly at all the time. The problem is that I still have overlapping words. Left, he left the area left arm. See, I can't get rid of that. So what I've done is I will, when they're like this, I try to, with a capital letter, this is kind of like um, the tribe's land, or the land for that group come from the 12 sons from uh, Jacob, who then becomes Israel. So the thing here is that they're fighting Judah. I think I later made these bold. I know I've got them different ways, but right now I'm just going to leave it as it is and let you know that they're fighting Judah, not Israel, until Saul starts putting them together, and then um, here. But this already is, we don't have any story about really David except for his sons way up in the front. And then the text is so out of order that, okay, now Saul's going to die, and then we're going to be, but where's all the stuff about um, Daniel and Jonathan becoming friends as they grow up? And so it's in another book. But when I'm done, I'll be putting all these pieces together as a puzzle, and we're going to have one story, complete story. Struck down to killed, that's pretty easy to know what's going on. Is wounded by an archer. Well, it's not an archer. He was wounded by the arrow from the archer. Okay, so the thing here is this is kind of a simple, but I need to point out that this word is awfully oversalted. You should recognize when a word is not right. Above the very across the title up here at the top, you'll see that Jesus told us to become more righteous than the scribes. Righteous in the Bible means the most obedient one to our Creator knows the truth, and you can be smarter than the scribes. So Jesus was well aware that the scribes were going to corrupt the text, and he put it out there that you are supposed to be obedient to our Creator, and you are supposed to edit the text. So when you were going, and I know a lot of people highlight their Bible, that's fine, but there's nothing like putting it on the computer and just doing what I'm doing here. But the thing here is I'm doing all the heavy lifting because not many of you have can spend I don't know. I can say that I averaged 3 hours a day for the last 27 years, 20, maybe 28 and 29 years now. Average every day. Okay. So there's no comparing that somebody can just come up here and start doing this. They can try. A group of 50 people in college, yeah, they can get together and do a lot of this because they've got it on the programs and they can start going through it. But it's not his armor bearer, it's a shield bearer. Okay. And I should have had this one highlighted yellow. Um, the kings fought and they had their guards out in front of them. You got to see they're still on foot. They aren't in chariots yet. So and they're also in the hill country. So there's areas that they can have a chariot and then they can't. Okay, when it gets into like on the east side of the Jordan River when they're fighting, yes, if there's a lot of um, it's called in the text it'll be known as a wilderness, but it's not a desert, but it's not a lot of green out there. It's the straggly stuff that's between the green and a desert. There's this maybe 4 miles of just a lot of sand with trees that are searched on the internet today. They'll show you pictures. Uh, anyways, trust to kill. Thrust is, they wanted to kill him with a sword, so the word kill is put in here. Least else, I don't think there's that much difficult here. And that, and then had to give a reason why, and he was greatly afraid. That doesn't describe why. A king is anointed by our Creator and he was chosen by our Creator. You just go against our Creator. Okay, the thing here is they're supposed to be righteous in whatever our Creator designates. So even though that he was dying, or he would be dead soon, or he was afraid that they're going to come and abuse me up here, abuse me. He wanted him to die, and he was greatly afraid. No, for Saul was our king. The object is I had to put it this way. For Saul, I couldn't put 4 or 5 words in here what I'm trying to say right now, so I'm saying it for the historical record, so you understand what this is really about, because he is our king, and he was appointed by our Creator. Now, he fell on it. Okay, this would mean that he's to die, but I'm going to put the word in for die here. And he didn't saw, and when the bearer saw Saul was dead, no, you don't know that he is dead when he fell on it. He has to know that Saul is dead before he leaves, okay? If he abandoned him, well, let's put it this way. There's going to be 2 stories. One that he does kill him. This is the story where he runs away, okay? I'm just letting you know. There's so many times there's conflicts, but when I mesh them together, you'll see the over differences because a lot of them do fit the format. Okay. And that's, that's amazing, but they're only changing 1 or 2 words here. And when you see that later, but then he fled. And then the others men that are around him. Now they fought by tribes together. And then they had, for every tribe, they had their own group as men that would come out and fight. They weren't that well organized yet in that way. David puts them back onto the track as the way they were when Moses or when Joshua took them into the promised land. They weren't that well organized here. This is a couple hundred years later. They had already divided. There's been arguments. We don't know anything about what's going on there, but and his sons had fallen to dead. I'm thinking that's easy enough for you to understand. But it was the messengers around the land of Philistines to carry their good news. Well, that's a heralding. All these, I'm taking a bunch of words and making it one word, heralding their good news. And a lot of times you'll see that, I didn't put that on that list, but a lot of times that'll happen too. Maybe I should add that to the list. And it was not to their idols. You don't go talking to your idols. So this is just kind of oversalted words. You should recognize them and get rid of them. And I do shorten down names because this would have had a hyphen between it, but I got rid of all hyphens, all punctuation. You notice it's not have anything to do with proper English because they didn't write by proper English. And I'm putting respect into the text. Example, all capital letters and colored, meaning our Creator. Okay. The trespass, no, that word is not the right word here. It was disobedience he committed. Okay. Now I have a median woman here right now. And this is a diviner or a sorceress. I didn't want to change the word yet. I'm going to wait until I show you some of the definitions of that word, how they've done it, because there's different meanings from different books. But I'm going to clean up the text so that sometimes when you see a word like that, I'm going to carry that word through and keep it colored continuing until I start putting all the pieces together as a puzzle. And then I'll say, well, I'm using it this way because it's this way. I don't want to put in a word and think it's fine and then double do this cleanup. So to avoid that, I'm doing it this way, just a note forwarding. Therefore needs to be changed to after he died. Therefore he died, and then therefore he killed him. No, therefore he died, and our Creator made David our king. Now, that turned the kingdom to David, okay? Died and turned the kingdom to David. That's why you double read your text all the time, because it just doesn't make any sense. So, this is, by the way, is the New American Standard 1977. And I do have a Bible program. I don't have it up here because usually I don't come up with words that I need to show you that they're close. Well, let me see. What do I have? No, I still didn't do that. I want to bring up something I can show you this Bible program and how corrupt the text really is when you see it. It's just amazing. And if you watch my other videos, you're going to say, he's going to do that again? Yep. Our king, I had to add king. Kingdom of David, pretty much saying that. I'm not like making my own words up to make them up. I'm specifically understanding the text a lot. And this is the leaders for Israel. Like I said, they were divided. So here, this time, Israel is being used as a kingdom, or as a nation. You have two nations. A kingdom doesn't have like separate states like the United States in their own process of court system. I know when I get into Babylon, there's going to be provinces. But that isn't true with Egypt. Egypt's a kingdom. So I kept Babylon as a kingdom. Other places are kingdom. But nation of Israel and nation of Judah, they're made up of tribes together. So that's why I've got the word definition different between kingdom and nation. So that should not, so when you read it, you'll understand kingdom that way. Nation, because sometimes it's just the word nation by itself. And I'm trying to make sure that nobody starts double speaking what, keep it as it is truthfully throughout the whole text. Behold, to look is pretty common. I think if I showed you how many times the word behold is to look in the text, because it tells us. Okay, let me do this. I know I've got it here, and this is, I'm talking a lot. I might as well show it to you. And there I go again, having to search for it, and it should have been here. Right here we go. Okay. There it is. Let me see if I can get out of the way here. No. Let me go over here. Down. Okay, got rid of myself. Example. Here's the word which. In the Bible program, New American Standard, Genesis 7. When I click on the word which, there's Strong's Concordance word over here. Strong's Concordance to New American Standard Concordance, the way the New American Concordance stole Strong's dictionary or words to make their own concordance. They changed the lettering of the words, or that's what they did. They changed the lettering of the words. And I think if you do so much of it, that's why even the text from one Bible to the other Bible is different, is because they have to change words to get the copyrights to make money from you. But down here was really important. Down here, you can see in the parentheses, I think that's what these are, that this is how many times the word what was used when it was this word. Now, these red words, you kind of like, how the hell did they come up from this what, who, what, when? You can see a lot of it down here with the larger number example, which was used 1,924 times. And you can get to understand that, yes, maybe some of these words could have meant the same, but when it gets into deadly or anyone or reason or steward, no. For example, here's the word so. It has its own Hebrew word, but they use the word so 7 times here when it was this word. Yeah. So that's how corrupt the text really is in front of you. Okay, just like that. It probably shocks you, but once you see that, oh man, it's an eye opener. That people used to call me, and I probably still do, call me a heretic for pointing that out, that the bad guys are writing the text. But when I show it to them, they're done talking to me, and I don't hear anything like, oh, I guess you're right. I'm sorry about that. I needed to add the words to bring this together to make the format. It added all these words to make the format. And I'm trying to keep these videos to 40 minutes. So I'm going to be looking more over at the time now that I know that it's getting close. Now, I'm not sure if this is the right name yet, but I think it was used in the text maybe below or up. I don't have a little note saying where to go look. But when I put a name in like this, it's usually because it's someplace else as well. And it doesn't give us locations. It gives us a location, okay? Past Damnum. Okay, now don't want to get into that. But someday I'm going to explain that each letter has its own meaning. Okay? Believe it or not, it has its own meaning. So when you see a word like this, once you understand all the letters of the word, even though it's saying Philistine, it's saying something else, okay? And it is like Satan has encrypted these words. They've had so many years to do this that it is mind-boggling. But don't worry. I today they have lost that knowledge, and some of them that I've talked to, they freak out when I show it to them because they didn't know that it existed. It's been lost to them. So, but what I did, I changed all these letters for us good people. So they lost. I'm in control. Okay. And when you see all the text, just like the whole text is really like if each letter was a number, it's like a great big mathematical problem from top to bottom that all equals to each other, that they all do this. I'm not kidding you. It'll take you 300 years to figure out what I'm talking about on this, but it's really, to me, it's exciting because I know I'm on a plane of my own here. But the thing here is trust me, these words, that's why I get rid of them. That's why I use specific words. Spake and it spoke, okay? Even though spake's in the text, so I stayed true to it. Stand to fight. No, I'm going to stop the video here because these are words that I want to show the concordance in how close that it might be that these are actually, you can be used here without, and if not, then I'm going to show you, then I'm going to change these to different colors. So I'm going to stop there and start the next video here. I know I'm a little short, but I just want to make sure that if you're interested in that Bible program, fine and dandy, come back and watch the next video.